Welcome to As Real as They Come Dallas. We're here at the Turkish Cafe Lounge with my beautiful Dori Voorhees. We are here to talk about her wonderful story, and hopefully someone out there will hear the message that you've been looking for quite some time. Welcome, Dori.
To see you.
It's wonderful to see you. How's everything?
It's good.
Awesome.
Life is busy.
Life is busy, busy, busy.
Yes. It's a good thing.
Yes. So, Dori, I'm mega inspired by someone that can do foster parenting. Tell me how you got to this and what inspired you.
I was a stay-at-home mom with my first child, my son, and looking to fill a spot that I just felt was there. There was a need, and read an article on the need for foster parents, and I kept the article and I sat it on my dresser for months. And one day I was looking through my stuff and I saw it, and it just was on my heart, and it was something I could not ignore. I'm like, how am I going to do this with a 6-month-old baby? So I reached out to Catholic Charities and kind of just dug in a little bit, got some information, set it aside. They reached out to me, and the Lord that was His plan for me, and I kind of fought it, but I did it for 10 years, and I did medically fragile infants with other stuff thrown in the middle of it. So I had my own children, and sometimes up to 7 foster kids, but I did it for a period of 10 years, and it was probably the thing that changed my life the most.
Wow. So when children are in foster care, do they stay with you or they find permanent homes? How does it usually work?
It really is kind of up to the foster parent and where the needs are. You can kind of set your own guidelines. You can say, I only want boys, I only want girls, I only want 3 to 5, I only want newborns. You can kind of set your own guidelines. But what happened with me is they would come to me and go, we have a need here now. So I kind of went all over the board. I would have siblings and babies that were drug addicted and on heart monitors, and so there was a whole lot of different realms that I went into. When I dove in big. So it was,
God bless you,
lots of different stuff.
Wow. And I remember meeting you, and I know for me it was kind of like a haze, which after we reconnected some months later, it just blew my mind. Do you mind sharing that story?
I met you through very weird circumstances. So I was in a very difficult place in my life. I was broken, a lot of pain, and I went the night that I met you. You were so kind, and I think that deep down you had a sense of there was something wrong. And I met you, and I went back to my seat, and later you came up to me and you said, "Are you okay?" And I said no. And we talked, and you recommended a book to read, and we spent a lot of time when you had a whole other group of people with you. You saw me. You saw the pain I was in, and that really was significant at that moment. I was there again. I was there again, and you were in the right place at the right time and had the right words, and I'm sitting here right now with you because of that.
Oh, Lord, I just,
and you didn't even realize that.
I had no idea.
That's what the Lord does.
Absolutely. When we reconnected, I think it was 2-3 months later, and I remember this beautiful lady, Dori, comes up to me, and you started telling me a story, because It was at the karaoke bar.
I wanted to thank you for saving my life, basically.
It's karaoke bar, and the thing is, it's not that I'm grateful that you would love to share your story, because I don't want our viewers to think, well, Yulia invited a guest to toot her own horn.
No.
But my thing is, we are in a suicide prevention week.
Which is dear to my heart right now.
It's dear to mine because I'm pretty sure there are millions of people that probably lost at least one friend to this horrible circumstance called suicide.
And it touches so many other lives.
It touches so many lives. You lose a person, and it just creates that void in your heart. You always think about what I could have said, what I could have done differently.
And you did.
And I'm just blessed that there's no accident in this world.
No.
And I think my main message...
I had never met you.
We've met through my husband's ex-girlfriend,
Correct,
which is a beautiful lady.
Yes, she is.
And it's just sometimes it doesn't work out between people, and that's okay, because we find someone meant for us directly. But the thing is, we just, outside of fun and being caught up in social media, being caught up with everything else in our lives, it's important to keep our eyes open. Whether it's someone depressed, they may not look depressed, but take you a second to read that person.
When you meet someone or you're talking to someone, and this is what you're very good at, and I'm so grateful, listen to them, look at them, hear what they're saying without them saying it. It's so important to not get caught up in how busy we are and who's here and, I got to get over here and say hi to them. If you're talking to someone, it's so important to actually listen to them and see them. And I'm blessed that you're my friend, because you're very good at that.
And I think the thing is just, I feel blessed that my angels and my guides connected to yours.
They did.
And send me that feeling that you're not done talking to Dori yet. You need to go get to know this lady.
And the
There's
crazy part of this is we were in a karaoke bar with so many other people around, and it was so busy, and you saw it. And that's just, I think, people listening and seeing what's in front of them.
I almost feel that it wasn't me per se. I'm pretty sure it's almost like you channel things.
Correct.
And if you get in that state where you channel this emotion, listen to it. If you need to talk to this person, go past your, well, this is weird, I'm going to come up and ask this person I just met and just start a conversation. Listen. And another thing that blows my mind, you listened. You heard the message. That
which is crazy, because
through.
I had been down this road twice, and the pain that people feel that fight depression and contemplate suicide is so hard and so deep that it's hard for them to see anything past that pain. And I think that's really what leads to people committing suicide. They can't handle that pain anymore. So to step outside of that box and have somebody talk to you and be receptive of that is very, very difficult for somebody to do that is that deep into depression.
I had never dealt with anything like that firsthand in my entire life.
I think I freaked you out a little bit.
When you came back and told me what you did, it did. Simply because, what if I didn't stop and said what I said? What if I said something wrong? What if I pushed you in a different direction? That's my first immediate thought. That I remember bawling, crying when you told me that story. Because in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, this was the night where this person would have quit her existence on the planet. What if I said something that wasn't powerful enough to put her back on the bright side and pull her out of this rut?
I think that's what people struggle with when someone does take their own life. What if I would have said this? What if I would have done that? What if I would have been there 5 minutes earlier? I don't think we can live our lives that way. Ultimately, I think the Lord put you in my life at that very moment for a reason.
And I'm blessed.
And I
feel
think
so blessed
that
for
the Lord opened my heart at that very moment because suicide was not what He wanted for me.
I don't think He wants that for anyone. God gave us life, the most precious gift on this planet. This is why I'm an advocate against abortions, because if you feel you don't want this child, well, give this child for adoption. This is not up to us. This child is not an accident. This is, your womb is where God was breathing His life into.
Right.
This little heart that was beating pretty much from first moments that is there.
I've had babies in my care that had 5 drugs in their system and weighed 3 pounds. One of them I adopted. And she's 15 now. So I think that if we just, people that open their hearts and try to be as receptive as they can and pay attention to the people around them. Someone in that deep into depression where they are feeling the need to end their own life, they're not doing it because they want to. They're doing it because they don't feel like they don't have anybody listening to them. They feel like they have no other way out and they can't stand the pain anymore.
And it's not going to be in the form, hey, by the way, I just thought I'm going to end my life.
Correct. If somebody doesn't reach out to me by next Tuesday, I'm done. That's not how this
It
happens.
doesn't work like that. You really need to be aware of your friends, aware of your family in general, people you meet.
A lot of times, too, I think people that are at that point, they're good at hiding it even in public. This situation I crossed twice.
I had no clue.
I would see everybody all the time, and I would walk around just the happiest person, but I couldn't lay my head down at night and have peace. That's when my pain really kicked in.
That's a purgatory in your real life.
It was. It really was.
Yeah, because, I mean, there are people that are truly depressed and do talk about taking their own life, and a lot of times it's probably seeking attention, but never take it lightly. Whether they are talking about it,
I think a lot of times you're correct. I think that could be, but it's not worth. They're doing that for a reason. They are in some pain, and to ignore the cry out for help, even if they have no intentions, it's just as important as if they were going to do it.
Absolutely,
because we don't know, and there's still pain involved.
I know I've been in that situation where I had a person was trying to tie me down by talking about suicide all the time. That's different. But then again, you read through it, and if you are in a toxic situation, and I'll speak from the perspective of being in a battered spouse situation, where people will do that, and that's like entirely different level of narcissism. But the thing is, I called police officers. Because I knew I wasn't going back in that situation.
That's the physical part, though. What about the emotional and mental part?
That person was heavy on substance, and it was beyond my expertise. This is why...
I'm talking about you. What kind of emotional struggles was that? What kind of...
Honestly, in that situation, I was suicidal.
That's what I'm saying.
I was going through cancer, which I spoke on my previous episode, where I was in an extremely toxic relationship, abusive mentally and physically relationship.
You start to question your own...
I was threatened to be killed. I was not legal alien at that time. Dump you in the swamp, nobody will look for you kind of situation. So I went...
So you experienced physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. You had all of it.
Unfortunately, I got it all. Yeah. And now I can speak about it. And I was telling gentlemen on my previous podcast that all of that can either make you or break you. Pick your battle and decide.
Even if it does break you, it can make you later on.
It rebuilds you into someone else. And I am an entirely different person than I was when I got to the United States when I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
I'm entirely different. And I remember having a handful of drugs in my hand, staring in the mirror. My door is rattling from this monster of a person trying to get through. And I looked at the door, I looked in the mirror. My parents were across the ocean. And it was like a scene out of the movie. I still remember my eyes. And I kind of was looking so deep into my own eyes that I was like, forget about it. I dumped that whole handful of pills into the sink, opened the door, going through cancer. I was 110 pounds. It was like half my size now. I was having ports, which because of that, I had to have them restitched, and a lot of different things happened. I was told that I'm nothing, I'm worthless.
Right.
And I was like, well, you want to fight? Come on. And
Found that inner strength.
I felt inner strength. If I had wings at that time, they would have stood up, because
Right.
I felt such a strong presence of my angels being there. I was like, all right, Yulia, your mom did not give you birth to end your life because of some worthless human being. And I already went through my forgiveness, and I'm really praying that he found God, found love in his life, and found a way to piece himself together and become somebody that's a decent human being. I have no bitterness. I'm actually grateful for that experience, because that experience helped me to recognize pain in others. I have another friend of mine, a dear friend of mine. She's in Louisiana now. That's where everything was taking place. I consider her my real earth angel, because if it wasn't for her and her strength, I don't know if I would have pulled through that. But she's such a positive person that every time I talk to her, I feel like, oh my gosh, I am alive.
Right.
Oh my gosh, there is a reason to live.
Right.
And it just pushed me. And 21 years old, everybody had their 21st birthday. I was on the hospital bed. I thought I was going to die, but God gave me second chance. And it's not for being a victim and being afraid. God said, don't worry.
Right.
Have
right.
no fear.
You know, when you spoke about your cancer, and I think that's kind of where, well, I'm a cancer survivor too, as you know. I struggled for 2.5 years with breast cancer. My youngest daughter, who I adopted through Catholic Charities, was, I want to say she was 4 when I was diagnosed, 5. And my other 2 children. So it was a huge struggle for me to battle cancer as a single parent.
That's a tough one.
And hold my business down, and a relationship, and all of these things just kind of built and built and built. And we tend to go, I'm going to put my big girl panties on, and we're going to do this, without looking at ourselves and going, wait a minute, what do I need? I might need a minute, you know? My focus was on all these other places and not on myself. And that kind of wore me down a little bit. But when you said you looked at that handful of pills, I took mine. I took that handful of pills. I didn't throw them into the sink. I took them. And my daughter found me, which is a struggle for me to this day. And thank God she did. So that's something that we worked through. And that still didn't give me a reason or a way to rebuild. There was a second incident. And I think that second incident made me realize I need something deeper than just relying on me. I'm not able to do that. The Lord has other things that you can lean on, like Him, and not on your own self. And that was hard for me to see that. And I did a real in-depth Bible study on taking a good look at myself, which is very difficult to do sometimes. And that's where I learned I am okay. I am good. I am not what someone else says I am.
I am enough.
I am not unworthy. And I lived my whole life feeling like I had to prove everybody that I am okay, and I didn't need that, So the Lord gave me that, and to this day, there is nothing in my heart or soul or being that would ever think about that again. So for me, I don't want anybody to think, or my message would be, it can be dark. It can be hard. I still find hard times. I still have issues with not worrying. The Lord says, just give me everything. Don't worry. That's still a struggle for me. That's a tough one for me. But I don't let it get to the point where I'm broken.
And that's very powerful too. You have to remember that even though you feel like the whole world forsaken you,
there's no way out. I felt like there was no way out.
You're never alone.
Mm-hmm.
You are never alone. God put you on this planet. Think of it as just another stage where you will learn, and like they say, you have to get out of your comfort zone to propel to the next level.
That's hard to do when you fight depression, and people that have never fought depression don't really understand that. To get out of bed,
it's already half a bottle.
And to feel any kind of self-worth is such a struggle. I had nothing left to give anybody, and that's okay. The people that love you are not expecting you to give. But I didn't understand that.
People that love you, they are blessed that you are here every moment of the day, every week, that they get to spend holidays with you, that they get to have life experiences with you. And like you said, you are going to be a grandmother.
I am, my first grandbaby, and that's what brings this full circle for me. When I saw you this last week, I walked up to you and said, because of you and your words at that moment, I get to be a grandmother. That's the first thing I thought when I saw you, God. Is I get to be a grandmother because you were there for me.
Wow.
So
my brain, I can't fathom that. It's like,
our lives get so hectic. Finding a parking spot at the grocery store, it's so much anxiety on a day-to-day level. And I think it's really important for people that, especially that fight depression, to take a minute and step back. Meditation, talk to a friend, reach out to me, reach out to, as a stranger. I'm here. You're never alone, even though you feel like you are. The pain is temporary, and this is what I learned from the Lord. He gave me this. Everything is temporary. Everything. Love is temporary. Hatred is temporary. Depression is temporary. Pain is temporary. Anxiety is temporary. Tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day, or the next day, it won't be that. It's a feeling that you have at this moment. But if you give it time, it will be a different feeling in the next moment.
And sometimes it doesn't change overnight.
No.
But your every day is like a new chapter to this beautiful book called Life of Dori.
You're not going to be so deep down into depression forever.
No.
And we think is being in that position, this is never going to go away. It does. This is not forever. You're not going to feel this way forever. So if you give it a minute, if you find resources, if you talk to somebody, give it a minute, because that isn't forever.
Don't rush into your emotional.
Correct. And that's easy to say and hard to do.
It is.
But it's the truth. It is really.
And especially if you are in some horrible toxic relationship that is just like this choker on your neck that just keeps getting tighter and tighter, you think there is no way out.
It's
out.
Not forever.
There is way out. And I've learned, and one of the things I heard that were exquisite, if you look at every problem and think there is at least 3 solutions to this problem, it's true. At least 3. And don't allow yourself to even think about ending your life, because it might quit your pain per se, which is probably won't, because it will create so much more pain for everyone else around you.
But I think a person that's at the level of committing suicide really is not doing it for any of the reasons that they can't handle their own pain. In that depth, they're not considering what it does to everybody around them because their own pain's so deep. That's not even something that they can wrap their head around.
Yeah. Like, we've lost one of our friends to suicide in February, on the very last of leap year, February 29. And so much devastation, so much pain. My husband, it was a childhood friend of his, he was, and still is, to us it's not even real. Every time I look through Facebook and try to click, and I'm like, what we could have done differently. But like you said, it's impossible, because people that make up their mind to do something like that is usually in this emotional state that they will not communicate that to you.
I was very good at hiding it.
And that's scary. And that's why I feel beyond blessed that there was a time, there was a place. I heard the message to go talk to you, and we did. And you listened.
I think now I look back, especially after our discussions in the last couple of days, where would my children be right now had I taken my own life?
Absolutely.
My daughter would be going through pregnancy without her mom. My son would not have his best friend.
Well, that was 7 years ago. It was at least 5 years ago that this took place.
6, yeah.
And how old is your daughter now?
She's 22, and my
22.
son is 24.
So she was only 17 years old back then. Who knows where her life would have been?
And my son, my children are my best friends.
Yes.
You know, we're together
That's a beautiful
every day. Yeah. So I think about where would they be had I taken that selfish way out. You know, their lives would have been forever different. And my granddaughter, who will be here in 8 weeks, would not have a grandmother in her life. You know, it's a blessing once you kind of step onto the other side of the pain. And it's still not, you know, life isn't easy. I'm not saying it's all roses and great, but
no rainbows and butterflies.
It goes like this.
It's like, I'm pretty sure if we as humans, we need that kind of stimulation, not to a drastic degree, but if everything always goes on the same plateau level, we'll start taking it for granted.
Right.
But when we go through hardship and then something good happens, we take it with gratitude.
And you know, I've learned through all of this, life is not always going to be easy, but the things and the people that are in my life have so much more importance to me. I have children that were in my foster care 20 years ago, and I still have contact with them.
And if it wasn't for you, where would have they been?
And this is what I tell them, though. They gave me as much as I gave them. I learned so many things from these children that were in such difficult places in their lives. And some of them will struggle probably into their adulthood. Some of them have. But they made my life better. I didn't just make their life better. And I still have relationships with them. And they're grown and have their own families now. So when you get past your own pain, you can start looking at what you've given and what you've received, and that makes a difference.
Absolutely.
It makes a difference. Journaling was a big thing for me. And I forever went, if you have time to journal, you got way too much time on your hands. Like, you know, I did. But I did it. And it's crazy how it just kind of, you can let it go then. Mm-hmm. I would lay in bed and I couldn't stop thinking about my own pain. And actually, should I, shouldn't I, how could I? looking at options. And when you journal and write it all down, my mind would settle and I could actually not think about everything so deeply. So that was a big help for me.
It's just like you're talking. So if you don't have someone to talk to and you don't want to share it with another human being,
Right.
write in a journal.
And I
is
never
amazing.
put much into that, but it worked. And now sometimes I'll go back and read things that I wrote down then, and it's mind blowing to me that I was such a different person, in so much pain compared to now.
Wow.
So I just wanted to say thank you, and you've been such a blessing in my life. And please, if anybody is struggling, just reach out. It's okay. It's okay to do that.
And you are now also a business owner.
I am.
Tell us briefly about what you do and how you got inspired to do that.
I have worked in the dogs rescue and kids and dogs. Like, I love dogs and animals and rescue groups, and I've put a lot of time and effort into that. And began grooming rescue dogs, going out to the shelters and getting those dogs where they can be adopted and feel better. So I ended up opening up my own salon.
Doggy makeover?
Doggy makeovers, yes. And we do grooming, daycare, boarding. And I love it.
Wow.
I love it.
And if someone would like to bring their loved one, their little furry baby, where would they find you?
We are the Dog Spa in Austin Ranch, 6800 Windhaven Parkway in the Colony. We would love to see your puppies.
Well, I want to thank you, Dori. It's just, my heart is so full. Your stories, every time we meet, it always fills me up, and it just reminds me that we all have purpose. We live on this planet to listen, to guide, to be guided, and we're not alone, and that's fantastic. And I want to thank our listeners, and I want you guys to know that you are loved, you are enough.
Yes.
You are strong, and you can overcome whatever it is that comes your way. And thank you for being with us, Real Estate Com Dallas, here at Turkish Cafe Lounge. And please like, subscribe, share your story, comment, and we love you. Bye-bye.